Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in Christ, today, on this blessed 25th of September, we gather to remember a divine truth. God has appointed joy for your life, and His angels are at work declaring it over you. Archangel Michael, the mighty warrior of heaven, stands as a messenger today with a powerful proclamation. God is bringing you great joy and happiness, not tomorrow, not in some distant future, but today. Archangel Michael stands today as a heavenly messenger declaring that God has prepared this day as a day of joy for you. When heaven speaks, it does not speak lightly, and when the Archangel of God delivers a message, it carries eternal weight. Too often, we live burdened by the shadows of yesterday, by mistakes we regret, by pain we still carry, or by fears about tomorrow. But today is different because today heaven has chosen to remind you that joy is not far, it is here. No matter what burdens you carried yesterday, no matter how heavy the week or the year has been, this moment is a new beginning. The Word of God is alive, and His declaration through Archangel Michael is that the atmosphere around your life is shifting, that happiness is breaking through like the first light of dawn after a long and restless night. It is easy to doubt when life has been hard, but God never speaks in vain. When He declares joy over your life, He is not simply offering comfort, He is announcing a change. He is declaring that the very environment around you is moving into alignment with His promises. What you felt yesterday does not define today, and the struggles of the past do not cancel out the blessings of the present. God brings joy because joy is part of His nature. He brings happiness because happiness is what He desires for His children. A loving Father does not want His children weighed down with sorrow forever. He does not abandon you to your trials, but provides strength, peace, and a new reason to smile even when circumstances haven't yet shifted. Joy is not only about laughter or a fleeting sense of pleasure. It is a deep assurance that God is with you and that His plan is unfolding in your favor. Happiness is not merely about what you achieve or what others give to you. It is the calm confidence that your life is held in God's hands. Archangel Michael's declaration is an invitation to lift your eyes above the shadows and see that God is already working. He is the God who brings beauty out of ashes, who transforms mourning into dancing, who turns valleys into mountains of victory. The presence of joy in your life is a sign that heaven has intervened, and today is marked as a day when heaven speaks directly into your heart. Think of the rising sun. The night may feel endless, but the light always comes, and with that light comes warmth, hope, and renewal. God's joy is like that sunrise. It does not ask permission from the darkness. It simply arrives and transforms everything it touches. In the same way, the joy of the Lord is arriving for you today. It is breaking chains you thought would never break. It is lifting burdens you thought you would always carry. It is shining into places of your heart where sorrow had settled. This joy is not weak, it is powerful. It is a joy that can heal relationships, renew faith, and even restore your strength to keep moving forward. In this moment, Archangel Michael is declaring that joy is not a distant promise, but a present reality. He is speaking directly to the weary heart, the doubtful mind, the one who feels forgotten, and He is saying, God has remembered you, and today is your day for joy. Do not measure this joy by what your eyes see right now, but by what God has already spoken. His word is sure, and His promises never return empty. The first keynote reminds us that heaven itself has proclaimed a new season for you. Joy is not just coming, it is here. Happiness is not a dream, it is a gift being handed to you today. Step into this moment with faith, lift your spirit above the weight of yesterday, and receive the declaration that God has made. This is your day of joy. This is your day of happiness. This is your day to rise. And when God has spoken it, no force in heaven or on earth can take it away. Joy is not a temporary feeling, it is a gift from God. Happiness that comes from the world is fragile, but joy that comes from the Lord is eternal. The joy of God is not bound by circumstances. It is not determined by possessions, and it does not depend on people's approval. It is a fountain that flows from the very heart of heaven. And today Archangel Michael declares that this divine joy will not only fill your heart, but will also become your strength in every situation you face. Too often, we chase after happiness in places that cannot hold it. We look for it in success, in money, in relationships, in recognition, yet every one of these things can be shaken. When the job changes, when people walk away, when health falters, the happiness that is tied to them crumbles too. But joy from the Lord cannot be shaken because it is anchored in the one who never changes. God Himself becomes the source, and as long as He reigns, your joy remains. When God gives you joy, it is not a shallow smile that fades when the storm comes. It is a deep assurance that even in the middle of the storm, He is with you. It is a calm that holds your soul steady when the world is in chaos. It is the laughter that finds its way through your tears, because you know that sorrow may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Archangel Michael's declaration reminds you that this kind of joy is not far away. It is not reserved for holy men of the past, nor is it locked away for the saints of the future. It is here, it is now, and it is for you. God's heart longs for His children to live in joy, because joy is a testimony of His goodness. This joy does more than comfort, it strengthens. The Bible says, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." Think about that. Joy is not only about feeling good, it is about being empowered. When you have the joy of the Lord, you can stand against discouragement. You can walk through valleys without losing hope. You can endure trials with courage, because joy gives you energy to keep moving forward. It renews your mind, refreshes your spirit, and restores your soul. That is why the enemy always tries to steal your joy, because if he can rob you of it, he can weaken your strength. But today Archangel Michael announces that your joy is being restored. God is filling your heart again with gladness that no attack, no fear, and no loss can take away. This divine joy is not silent. It overflows, it shines from your face, it influences your words, it lifts the atmosphere of every room you walk into. When you carry joy, you carry light. Others who are weary will find hope through you, because they will see in your life that joy is possible even in hard times. And that joy will become contagious, inspiring those around you to look to God as the true source of happiness. In this moment, God is asking you to release the weight of false joys and embrace the real one. Let go of the shallow promises of the world and hold on to the eternal promise of heaven. The Lord does not give as the world gives. His blessings endure and His joy remains. Today, receive this declaration with open hands and open heart. God's joy belongs to you, and nothing can separate you from it. The second keynote reminds us that joy is not something we chase, but something we receive as a divine gift. It is stronger than emotions, deeper than circumstances, and more lasting than any earthly treasure. Today, Archangel Michael declares that this joy will not just touch you. It will strengthen you, empower you, and carry you through every trial. Walk in it boldly, live in it daily, and let it shine through you, because when God gives joy, it is eternal. When God says He brings you happiness, it is not limited to small moments of relief or temporary flashes of laughter. It is not like the shallow comfort the world offers, which fades as soon as circumstances change. God's happiness is deeper, wider, and eternal. It is an overflow of peace, of hope, of gladness that penetrates every corner of your life. It reaches into your family, your work, your spirit, and your future. It transforms not only how you feel, but also how you see the world around you. When heaven declares happiness over you, it is more than a blessing for the moment. It is a reshaping of your destiny. Too often, people confuse happiness with fleeting pleasure. They believe it depends on achievements, possessions, or the approval of others. But happiness from God is different. It does not fade when a paycheck is lost, when friends walk away, or when life takes unexpected turns. It cannot be stolen by trials nor erased by fear. This happiness is anchored in God Himself, who is unchanging, unshakable, and faithful forever. Because He lives, your happiness has a foundation that cannot be broken. Because His promises endure, your gladness can remain strong even in the middle of storms. The happiness God brings is also restorative. It heals what has been broken and revives what has been weary. In your heart, where disappointments may have carved deep wounds, His joy flows like a healing river. In your mind, where doubts and anxieties may have been loud, His gladness becomes a gentle calm. And in your spirit, where weariness may have settled, His happiness sparks a new fire of hope. This is why the declaration from Archangel Michael is so powerful. When heaven announces happiness for you, it means that God is directly touching every area of your being with His goodness. Think about how a seed grows. It starts small, buried in the dark soil, unseen, unnoticed. But given time and nourishment, it pushes through the surface and becomes something beautiful and strong. God's happiness works in the same way. It may begin quietly in your heart, a whisper of peace, a flicker of hope, a small reason to smile. But soon it grows and it begins to transform the entire atmosphere of your life. What was once weighed down with sorrow becomes a place where joy blooms. What was once marked by despair becomes a testimony of gladness. This happiness is not fragile like a flower that withers. It is enduring like a tree planted by streams of living water, bearing fruit in every season. When you embrace this truth, you begin to walk differently. Your steps become lighter, your outlook brighter, your words more uplifting. You no longer see yourself as a victim of life's challenges, but as a child of God who carries heaven's joy inside. That joy becomes your shield against discouragement, your song in the night, and your strength when you feel weak. Even others will notice it. People around you will see a glow that cannot be explained by circumstances, and they will be drawn to the source of your happiness. In this way, God not only blesses you with happiness, but He also uses your life to spread it to others. The third keynote reminds us that when God declares happiness, He is not speaking about fleeting moments, but about a deep, unshakable reality that transforms your entire being. His joy reaches into every area of your life, your family, your work, your spirit, and your future, and it cannot be stolen by fear or diminished by trials. Today, Archangel Michael's proclamation is an invitation to embrace this truth and to let God's happiness fill you completely. Accept it, walk in it, and let it overflow to everyone around you. Because when God brings happiness, it is not small, it is abundant, and it is eternal. Archangel Michael's proclamation is a powerful reminder that the battles in your life are not fought alone. Every person faces struggles. Some are visible, others are hidden deep within the heart. You may be fighting financial challenges, family conflicts, health concerns, or inner battles of fear and doubt. These struggles can weigh you down and make you feel as though you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. But heaven wants you to know today that you are never fighting by yourself. God has already positioned victory on your side, and with that victory comes an unshakable joy. When Archangel Michael declares this truth, he is speaking as the great warrior of heaven, the one who has always stood against the forces of darkness. His very presence reminds us that God's angels are at work on our behalf. They are defending, guiding, and strengthening us in ways we cannot always see. And because victory is assured through God's power, joy is not just a possibility, it is a guarantee. Every challenge you face today is already being turned into a testimony. What the enemy meant for harm, God is reshaping for good. Every tear you have shed is being collected by the Lord, and none of them are wasted. Out of your pain, God is preparing new laughter. Out of your struggles, He is preparing stories of triumph. It is natural to feel overwhelmed when battles seem endless. You may wonder, when will this end? When will I see breakthrough? But the promise of God is not uncertain, it is sure. He has said that He will never leave you nor forsake you, and that His plans for you are good, not evil, to give you a future filled with hope. Because of this, you can already rejoice. You do not have to wait until you see the final outcome to lift your voice in praise. Joy begins now, in the middle of the fight, because victory has already been written by the hand of God. Consider how David, before facing Goliath, was filled with confidence and courage. He was not stronger than the giant, nor did he have more weapons, but he carried something far greater, the assurance that God was with him. And because of that, David walked into battle with a song in his heart and triumph in his spirit. That is the same confidence you can carry. Your giants may look intimidating, but the God who is with you is greater. His angels, led by Michael, are surrounding you, and the outcome has already been decided in heaven's courts. You will not be defeated. This victory produces joy that cannot be shaken. It is the joy of knowing that the enemy's plans are destroyed, that your destiny is secure, and that your story will not end in defeat. Joy is not the absence of struggle, but the assurance of triumph even now. As you press forward, joy is being birthed within you because your spirit knows that you are not abandoned. God is working behind the scenes, opening doors, breaking chains, and preparing blessings that will overtake you. The fourth keynote assures us that the battles of life are not yours alone to fight. Heaven stands with you. God has declared victory on your behalf, and Archangel Michael announces that joy is your inheritance. Every challenge you are facing will one day become a testimony of God's power. Every tear will be exchanged for laughter, and every struggle will end with triumph. So walk with courage, embrace joy even now, and remember that when God has declared your victory, no force on earth or in hell can stand against it. The joy of the Lord is more than an emotion, it is power. Emotions rise and fall depending on what we face in the moment, but the joy of the Lord is different. It is not fragile, it is not temporary, and it is not dependent on what happens around you. Instead, it is a spiritual force that lifts you when you are weak, strengthens you when you are weary, and renews your faith when doubts try to creep in. This joy is a gift from God. And today heaven reminds you that it is being poured into your life in greater measure. When the battles of life press down heavily, joy becomes your weapon. Think of how many times discouragement tries to invade your mind. Think of how often fear whispers that you will not succeed, that you are not enough, or that you are too broken to continue. These are lies designed to weaken your spirit. But when the joy of the Lord is alive in you, those lies lose their power. Joy strengthens your heart so that even when the enemy tries to plant fear, you rise up in faith and say, my God is with me and he will see me through. Joy becomes a shield that guards your mind and a fire that keeps your spirit burning. It is important to understand that this joy is not simply happiness based on circumstances. Happiness from the world fades quickly, but joy from the Lord is constant because it is tied to who He is, not to what is happening. God never changes, His promises never fail, and His love never ends. That is why His joy is unshakable. It is the same joy that gave Paul and Silas the strength to sing hymns while locked in prison. It is the same joy that allowed David to dance before the Lord even after facing years of trials. It is the same joy that sustained Jesus himself when he endured the cross, for the joy set before him gave him strength to complete his mission. That very same joy is what God is giving to you today. When you receive this joy, it transforms your perspective. Situations that once seemed impossible now look like opportunities for God to show His glory. Burdens that once felt too heavy suddenly feel lighter because you know you are not carrying them alone. Instead of being weighed down by hopelessness, your heart rises with expectation. This joy does not ignore reality, but it redefines it because it allows you to see reality through the lens of God's power and promises. Joy also has the ability to restore energy to your spirit. There are times when life feels draining, when you have given so much and received little in return, when you feel tired not just in body but in soul. In those moments, joy is what lifts you back up. It breathes life into weary bones and revives the hope that was fading. It whispers to your heart that tomorrow will be better, that God is not finished with you yet, and that every promise He has spoken is still alive. Joy renews your faith so that you keep moving forward even when the road is long. In the fifth keynote is a powerful reminder that the joy of the Lord is not just a feeling, it is strength, it is power, it is life. It protects you from discouragement, it lifts you above fear, and it equips you to keep walking in faith. Today, God is pouring that joy into your heart, and Archangel Michael is declaring that no force can take it away. Receive it fully, hold it firmly, and let it carry you forward. For with the joy of the Lord as your strength, no storm can overwhelm you, no darkness can defeat you, and no battle can break you. Happiness declared by God is not dependent on circumstances. You do not need everything in your life to be perfect before you can rejoice. In fact, the beauty of God's joy is that it arrives even in the middle of imperfection, even in the chaos, even when your surroundings tell you there is no reason to smile. Worldly happiness is fragile. It rises when life goes well and falls when challenges come. But the happiness that God gives is unshakable because it is anchored in His nature, not in your situation. God does not change. His promises do not fail, and His word never returns void. That is why His joy can remain in you regardless of what is happening around you. So many people wait for the right moment to feel happy. They think once they get the promotion, once their bank account grows, once their relationships improve, once their health is restored, then they will finally rejoice. But the truth is, joy that waits for everything to be perfect is not joy at all. It is dependency on circumstances. God calls you to live at a higher level. He calls you to rejoice in Him always, not because your problems are gone, but because He is greater than every problem. That is the secret to unshakable happiness. It is not about ignoring reality. It is about embracing a greater reality, the presence of God in your life. When Archangel Michael declares that God is bringing you joy today, it is a reminder that your smile does not have to wait for tomorrow. You can smile today, right now, because God is still on the throne. You can walk with peace in your heart because He is in control. You can lift your head high because His plan for you is good and His timing is perfect. You may not see the full picture yet, but joy allows you to trust that the picture is already beautiful in God's hands. Joy is not just a reaction, it is a choice. It is choosing to believe God's word over the voices of doubt. It is choosing to lift your hands in praise even when you don't feel like it. It is choosing to sing songs of faith even when the valley is dark. And every time you choose joy, you declare to the world and to the enemy that your happiness is not fragile, it is eternal because it comes from the Lord. This kind of joy confuses the enemy because he expects you to collapse under pressure, but instead he finds you rising higher in faith. It is important to remember that happiness from God is not shallow. It is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about knowing deep in your heart that everything will work for good because God has promised it. That assurance gives you peace even in waiting, strength even in weakness, and hope even in uncertainty. This happiness is not just a feeling, it is a weapon. It guards your heart against discouragement. It pushes back the heaviness of despair. and it keeps you moving forward when everything else tells you to stop. In the sixth keynote is a reminder that God's happiness is not about waiting for a perfect life, but about trusting a perfect God. You do not need every question answered to rejoice. You do not need every problem solved to smile. You do not need every battle finished to sing. You can rejoice today because God is faithful, His word is sure, and His joy is unshakable. Archangel Michael's declaration is an invitation to step into that reality. Smile today, trust today, rejoice today, because the happiness God gives is yours and nothing can take it away. On this 25th of September, heaven declares that joy and happiness belong to you. This is not a distant hope, not something reserved for another season, not a promise delayed until tomorrow. It is a present reality, a gift wrapped in the love of God and handed to you today. When Archangel Michael brings this proclamation, he is not offering a suggestion, he is announcing a decree from the throne of God. What God has spoken cannot be undone, and what heaven has released cannot be taken back. No matter what you see around you, no matter how you feel within you, God is writing a story of gladness over your life at this very moment. There will always be voices that try to drown out this truth. The voice of fear says you are too broken to be happy. The voice of doubt says your circumstances are too difficult to change. The voice of sorrow says joy will never return. But the voice of heaven is louder. It says, this is the day the Lord has made, and you will rejoice and be glad in it. The atmosphere of heaven is joy, and when heaven touches earth, joy becomes your inheritance. Archangel Michael comes as a witness to this reality, a messenger reminding you that God has already prepared joy for your heart and happiness for your life. It is easy to tie happiness to outcomes. We often tell ourselves, I'll be happy when things get better, when doors finally open, when my prayers are answered. But God's joy is not postponed until things change. His joy comes first. And in that joy you find the strength to keep believing, the courage to keep moving, and the hope to keep waiting until the change arrives. That is why today's declaration is so important. Joy is not a reward for victory. Joy is the force that carries you to victory. Happiness is not the end of the journey. It is the strength that helps you finish the race. Think of how the morning light pierces the darkness. The night cannot stop the sun from rising. In the same way, nothing in your life can stop God's joy from reaching you. Not sorrow, not failure, not disappointment, not even your own mistakes. Joy is God's gift, and He gives it freely to His children. This is why you can wake up with confidence and go to bed with peace, because no matter what happens in between, the joy of the Lord is holding you steady. Archangel Michael's declaration is also a call to walk boldly in this truth. Do not hide your smile. Do not bury your laughter. Do not hold back your gratitude. Let joy overflow from your heart into your words, your actions, your relationships, and your work. When people see your joy, they will know it is not ordinary, it is supernatural. And that joy will become a light in their darkness, a testimony that God is alive and faithful. In the seventh keynote declares with clarity and power that joy and happiness are yours today. They are not fragile emotions based on what the world gives, but eternal gifts rooted in who God is. No matter what storms may rage, no matter what valleys you walk through, the joy of the Lord is your strength, and His happiness is your portion. Receive it with open hands, carry it with confidence, and share it with boldness, because this is your day of joy, this is your day of happiness, and nothing in heaven or on earth can take it away.